We are live. Hello. Happy Tuesday. Andy is with me. Seth is still out. We already have some people in. We have Derek, host corner. We have Blossom Michelangelo. We have Michael Bingham. So I'll let everyone get in there for a few seconds, and then we will get this show on the road. Not too much craziness to talk about today, but
it wasn't like Halloween or anything, right?
Yes, yeah. It's officially spooky season. Brian says, windy, hot, and rainy this week for my area. Oh, I'm ready for fall. I'm so sick of this. Okay, I think we have some people in the chat, so we are going to get started. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yes, perfect. Okay. 3, 2.
Please lower your head and watch your step while boarding.
Welcome to the Attractions Podcast. You are all clear for dispatch. Have fun.
And welcome to the Attractions Podcast, sponsored by MEI and MEI-Travel. I am Carly.
And I'm Andy.
And we are here to talk to you about the latest and greatest in theme park news, as well as a little bit as what is going on in our lives. And I have a new co-host this week, Andy.
Hey, it's good to be here with you.
I am happy you're here. I guess the last time I saw you was at HHN opening. So we're still in the recovery mode. Seth is still over in Asia. He just went to Universal Studios Japan. Oh, Tokyo Disney.
Poor guy.
I know. I am so jealous. I haven't gone over that, but that is like my bucket list. So a little bit about what's going on in our weeks. I was supposed to go to HHN Hollywood, but unfortunately, I got a little bug at HHN Orlando opening weekend, and I have been down for the count. So, I'm so jealous. I'll get out there soon. But I love Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood, which we'll be talking more about a little bit later. But be careful out there. I don't know how to strengthen your immune system, take vitamin C, but there is some crazy stuff going around right now, and it stinks to miss out on the fun. But
that Halloween crud, it's that holiday crud, just getting people, every time.
Yes, it is everywhere, especially at HHN when we're like around a million people. It's like social hour and Finnegan's, or in the house is crammed. So yes, be careful out there. Take vitamin C, do whatever it takes, because it is not fun. But as I rest up and get ready for the launch of Scarowinds at Carowinds this week, which I cannot wait for, you got to go to Hallow-scream at SeaWorld Orlando.
Busch Gardens, actually. Matt
you went to Busch Gardens. Okay.
Yeah, they were. So that's the funny thing, is that the SeaWorld Hallow-scream had their media night the same night that Busch Gardens Hallow-scream was having its VIP client kind of pseudo media night.
Interesting.
And so we had to kind of split the difference. Yeah, so Matt and Quinn went to Hallow-scream Orlando, and then my girlfriend and I went out to Hallow-scream Busch Gardens.
Fun. So I haven't done Busch Gardens. I've done Orlando, San Diego. Tell me about how it was.
Highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. It's controversial. It's maybe a little bit of a step down, from Horror Nights. Horror Nights got its 10 houses. Hallow-scream has 5 houses. And if you've done the Busch Gardens Hallow-screams, one of their things is they like to reuse houses, kind of a few years, 3 or 4 years or so, and then typically with like a reimagining in the middle of it, or there will be the same house but a new overlay over it. But I'll tell you, one of the nice things about those, I did SeaWorld, last year. I'm looking forward to doing SeaWorld's Hallow-scream this year also. But one of the things that's fun about the smaller ones is you can really knock it all out in a day. We go to HHN all the time, and even when we're there, like as media, or with a VIP or the front of line access, like it's still it's a hike. It's a hustle to try to do everything and the shows and stuff. And there we did have some. Yeah.
It's impossible.
So I was gonna say, we had front of the line access at Hallow-scream. Of course, it was a VIP party for us, but we even waited. We lingered a bit. We wanted to let it get dark, so we were exploring the whole park, in the dark first, and we managed to do every house and both the shows. There's a brand new show this year and one of the returning ones. just a ton of fun. I sent Matt my reviews last night, so those should be getting posted, and some of my videos I think are already popping up. Loved it.
Awesome.
You know,
I'm
they have
excited
they
to
do a
see.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk all about it later. I could
Of
go on.
course.
This could be the whole podcast. We'd be talking.
I would love it. I will say, you know, I really love Hallow-scream. One of my favorite events. There's something about maybe these houses don't have the bigger budgets that like an HHN has, but there's a raw grittiness to it. I find myself getting scared more at events like Hallow-scream and Not Scary Farm because it's just a little bit different and just feels like a little more real, if that makes sense. You know, like not like you're walking through a movie set, you know, that's so overstimulating, but there's something like gritty about it that's where I get the screams.
And then for me, there's also an element of like I don't go to Busch Gardens as often. You know, it's an hour and a half, 2 hours or so away. I'm here, you know, around all the other parks. I'm real familiar with Disney's and Universals. So walking around Busch Gardens is just disorienting. You know, it's not a hub and spoke style. You know, it's just a park I'm not as familiar with. So when you're doing all that and it's nighttime and there's fog and there's someone going in your face, like it's really, you know, off-putting in every direction.
Absolutely. And I feel like in some of those parts, there's so many, unlike Universal Orlando, there's like dead zones where it's really dark and foggy. And that's when you get a good like jump scare from an atmosphere scare actor. And it's something I don't get at other events because it's just, you know, it's gritty, it's raw, it's smaller.
Well, and they like to do things of, you know, they have their set scare zones, their set houses. So you know where you can go if you want to see something. But even just in their dark trails, like you said, in their dead zones almost, they almost have a single person just in camouflage, just sitting off the side of the path. Where in the darkness, you just don't see them at all until you're there.
Right. Yes. And that's the scary stuff. Yeah. No, I mean, that's why I love like a Scarewinds. Yes, the houses are often the same every year. You know, it takes a little bit of time for them to switch it up, but you know, you can get new scares. And I love spooky season. I love talking everything about it. And for people watching, you have to show them your little boo that you have right behind you. Speaking of spooky stuff.
Yeah, you can see them. This is
yes.
There we go.
Oh,
this is a shout out to Crazy Gourds. My father makes these fun gourd like bird houses and bird feeders and stuff, and then during spooky season he starts turning some of them into jack-o'-lanterns, like forever jack-o'-lanterns like this. And I was like, Dad, I got exactly the one you need to carve for me. And I was like showing him all these pictures and stuff. He's like, okay, how's this look? I was like, perfect.
That is amazing.
And it's got a little space there. That's gonna be my jack-o'-lantern this year. I haven't put them out yet.
Oh my God, that's so good. I know. I want all the Little Boo stuff, the shoulder plush, the hat. I mean, Little Boo is the best. Spooky season is the best. Thank you for sharing.
I've been going crazy with them lately. Yeah.
I know. Did you have a favorite house? Final question at Hallow-scream this year.
At Hallow-scream this year, I will say the favorite house for me, I think was, well, you're going to see my rankings and reviews, so spoilers, I guess. But my favorite house this year was the new one, which is Shadows of Wonderland. So it's, you know, you can immediately I say that and you can automatically imagine what this is going to be, right? It's going to be your classic kind of spooky take on the Alice in Wonderland stories.
Right.
I just thought they did the best job with it of, you know, it's the house that most rewards you if you're familiar with the source materials. You're constantly going around going, oh, there's Humpty Dumpty. You forget that he was in that book. Or, you know, there's their version of the Cheshire Cat and this. And I thought they just did such a good job of it. You got to come check them out. We should have a video coming up, I think, soon. That was our Scream Cam this year. So we had one of our people got to go through it on the Scream Cam, so you can watch her. She's very funny because she's absolutely reacting the way you want her to be reacting that whole time. She's like, it's just
See, I would be the worst in a Scream Cam because I don't scream because maybe my soul is like a little dead inside. So I would just be like smiling and laughing through. But when you get those people that really are reactionary, it is the absolute best.
I would say, I know we want to get to the show here, but I've done the Scream Cam twice now. It's Hallow-scream both times. And I'll tell you, it starts to it kind of gets in your bones a little bit. Like, you know, I'm saying I'm 6'4", you know, I'm not the Halloween target, so to speak. But one of the things they love to do when you do the Scream Cam is they run ahead of you in the house, like the producers will, and tell all the actors your name. So it's a next level as you're walking through, like, join us, Andy. And you're like, oh, that's way creepier. Like,
Yes. Oh,
And then when every single
that's
thing
the
is just
level I need.
It's a very fun experience. Highly recommend if you get the chance sometime.
Yes. Well, we will be on the lookout for your story. Can't wait to see the rankings. But without any further ado, let us get into the news in the queue. Once again, talking about more villains, as Disney World has announced a Disney villain show debuting in 2025 at Hollywood Studios. This will be replacing the Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy, the attraction that's just to the right of Rock and Roller Coaster. Are you excited for more villains' presence?
I mean, how do you say no to that, right?
Yeah.
For years and years and years, the villains, after you get to a certain age, if you're still a Disney fan, you get to that kind of rebellious time frame, like those are what you're really into. And
Yeah.
it's so funny that it's taken them this long to really lean into it, to really embrace it. We've seen it. We have our villain shows like how our Not So Scary. We'll get our Oogie Boogie, we'll get our all these kind of bits, but it's nice to be like, all right, this is a real, permanent, very permanent, how permanent show, as we're kind of anticipating, our villains land coming too. I also know there's a bunch of characters, a bunch of performers there who are just like, finally, like I get to be, my giant scary self on stage, really putting it out there. So
Yeah,
I'm excited.
absolutely. I mean, like you said, it is crazy that there really hasn't been a permanent villain presence with how popular it is. I mean, you walk around the park and you see everyone in Maleficent or Oogie Boogie wear, and you just know that these characters resonate with so many people, for better or for worse. So, Villains Land coming to Magic Kingdom is like long in the pipeline. It's going to be like probably a decade or something crazy if and when we get to experience it.
Right.
But coming next year to Sunset Showcase, the new production will take place within the mysterious reflective realm of the Magic Mirror. So this means that when they announced it's coming next year, that means sadly that the existing attraction will close. Are you a fan of Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy?
I cannot say that I've ever gone to see it.
Yes.
I like cars. Obviously, I'm a big Disney fan. I'll go see whatever we're gonna see, but it wasn't my priority.
Correct.
Unfortunately, I get there and I'm like, I could see that show, or I could go see Indy again. Ooh,
right. Indy is a classic.
I mean, it's
Yes. Well, Disney has shared that this new show will star dozens of bad guys, but it's going to be using technology to depict them. So it seems like for now, there will only be 3 who appear on stage as character actors, and that is Captain Hook, Maleficent, and Cruella de Vil, who will break through the magic glass to perform songs. But in the concept artwork, we see other classic villains like the Queen of Hearts, Ursula, Jafar, Scar. I mean, they're still very tight-lipped. This was just announced last week, so we know very little except that Racing Academy will be closing. It debuted in 2009, so you do not have that much more time to see it, but we're excited for something new, and I think a new family offering and a new show in Hollywood Studios is kind of just what the park needs. Do you agree?
Oh, 100%. And also new entertainment in general. I mean, I grew up in technical work, entertainment, theater, and stuff. So anytime a new show is coming, I'm like, yes, 100%. Let's get it out there. Live entertainment is what makes the difference to me.
100%. Yeah, and then we've lost so much at Hollywood Studios, and I feel like that's what, to me, makes the park feel stagnant. It's like we lost all that street atmosphere, the citizens of Hollywood. So also, I want more jobs for performers. So
yeah, 100%. I'm curious
even
with the
though there's
show.
only 3 live actors, hopefully there'll be more, or they'll rotate,
Well, that's what I was about to say too. Is we only know that 3, the 3 villains are going to be on stage. I wonder if with every kind of show we have like the 5 or 6 helper buddies who are just going to be there, dancers on stage, performers on stage who are facilitating transitions or whatever. There may well be more live performers, beyond, but we'll just see the 3 iconic villains live.
Yeah. So
have you ever gone to see Drawn to Life, the Cirque show
Yeah,
over at.
a few
I
times,
was
yeah.
like, the concept art here is very much giving me that feel, and I wonder if we're going to see those kind of ideas of like, the paintings and pictures of them will be what comes to life, and we see
Yeah.
parts of their stories that they interact around.
That is a great idea. I mean, that show is so unique and so different than anything. It would be perfect to work for this concept because these are all, classic animated villains. And that would be so cool if they did the same thing. Hopefully, we'll get some more details soon. In the meantime, get your Lightning McQueen fix, and we will keep you posted on when we have more news. But that should be coming summer 2025. We do not have a date yet, but we will let you know. And now talking about, maybe the anti-villain. It is Batman's 80th anniversary, and Warner Brothers Studio Tour Hollywood is doing it up. They have been doing so many cool activations recently for like legacy IPs and movie franchises. So this is exciting. They are going to be illuminating the bat signal for a one-night only event on September 21st, 2024 to celebrate Batman's 85th anniversary. And this is going to include a 1-hour guided studio tour highlighting Batman's history, plus a screening of the iconic Warner Brothers backlot of Tim Burton's Batman, which is the Michael Keaton version, and of course Jack Nicholson as the Joker. Have you done the Warner Brothers studio tour?
No, never. It is on my list of a thing.
Yes.
Every time I see something else pop up for, we had the Harry Pottery things. I was like, just all right. I just gotta go. I just gotta make that happen.
It is truly the best, and they just keep upping the ante. They have so many different activations. They have the Gilmore Girls, Turner Classic Movies, and so now that they're doing this, and what's really cool is the brand new Batcave exhibit is in Warner Brothers Studio Stage 16, which is one of the largest sound stages in the world. And if you want to take part in this special studios tour, it will take place again September 21st. It's a one-night only event, and tickets are $89 per person, which I actually don't think is bad for the special tour and the movie.
It's not, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a pretty pricey experience in general, the studio tour, and I'm sure all the Batman diehards will come out in full-fledged for this one.
I gotta say, I mean, Batman, he looks great for 85. I mean,
He looks
just
awesome.
whatever his skin condition. Flicking through I like our website, and we got some of our pictures up here, and I love this image of all the iconic costumes in a row, where you can just really see like how Batman has changed with the times, with the sensibilities, what he was going for, where it's funny to think even then, like the Tim Burton Batman when it came out was the serious Batman. Before that you had Adam West going on with its campy silliness, and now we look back at Tim Burton's Batman movies going like, oh boy, that is Tim Burton, isn't it?
Batman is very, very serious. So fun, great movies. And speaking of other amazing characters, also in Hollywood, there is a new Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, the Afterlife Experience, which is one of these immersive, interactive pop-up exhibits. This is in Hollywood.
Speaking of Tim Burton.
Yes, exactly. We're continuing on the trend. This has been highly anticipated immersive attraction. I've seen a lot of people already go. It's basically the coolest photo ops ever, and it's all taking place in the afterlife period of the film. And if you are a Beetlejuice fan and are so excited for the new movie, Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, this is definitely something you're going to want to partake. Have you seen these pictures?
I mean, I've been obviously looking through everything we got there. We've had a bunch of these kind of events and experiences we'll go to where they're kind of just like Instagram bait, where it's just a big, interesting photo ops, full of big photo ops. And I love to see it with an IP, an intellectual property here like this, where people are going to be so excited. I mean, Beetlejuice, the same way we were just talking about the villains, Beetlejuice is one of these things people love and people have loved forever. And to not have had, we obviously, Universal has had his Beetlejuice stuff, but just like, it is shocking to me that something like this hasn't been sooner. Like we had to wait till the new movies where we're going to promote something with them.
100%. It is really crazy. These immersive experiences, like, for years it was like the Van Gogh exhibit with all the lights. Now it's like every other week we're talking about a new immersive experience, but it does bring out the people. People do spend the money. And, I will say it is Instagram bait. It's mostly for the photo ops. But what I thought about was really cool. There are some like interactive,
Yeah.
experiences with some of the team members. One was like the horoscopist Death Star reading, where they do kind of like a fake seance with a small group and tell you like a fake fortune. So I thought they at least, did some interesting different things with it. Of course, there's specialty food and beverage, everything else is included, like that little reading thing that I mentioned. Drinks, of course, are not, but that's okay.
Right.
And I think it's fun. It's something to do, but there's definitely a lot of these experiences now.
Well, and I think we've really hit a level where we're kind of starting to perfect them, I think, as a an industry. We didn't know what to do with these for so long. We're immersive and interactive, or buzzwords that I think people were just trying to figure out what that means. And I think something like this, as I was reading through it, I was like, okay, so it's just pictures. Like, oh, there's interactive stuff. Oh, there's like several rooms to go through. Oh, there's like experiences to do. Like, oh, that's fun. So it becomes like, as much as you want to do with it, you can do with it. If you just want to go and take pictures of the cool stuff, take pictures. If you want to be a character and live your afterlife, your best afterlife,
Yes.
It seems like that's open to you. And games, and I'm sure there's going to be other little secrets and Easter eggs and stuff to find and enjoy there. Yeah, I love this kind of stuff. I am.
Yes.
Again,
No,
more of these kind of experiences, please.
Yeah, no, I like it. It's something fun to do. And actually, like, I was really impressed the actual price of it. So the tickets are on sale through October 13th. This is open at Ovation Hollywood in Los Angeles, and the admission's $25. So I was very pleasantly surprised by that price point. No, because we've seen other ones, specifically like Harry Potter exhibits, and they are much more expensive. And for as hot of a franchise that Beetlejuice is, I was like, wow, that's really not bad. You can even bring a family, and that's not going to totally like ruin your budget.
I always look at these like a per hour kind of entertainment fee. If you're like, all right, if it's $25, like I could see myself spending a couple hours there, at least 2. That makes that price not bad at all.
A really, really good point. And people love getting dressed up for these, so it's a special thing, and I love it. So if you are interested, we have more information on our website. And now for the last bit of news in the queue, we are back in Orlando, where some familiar blue faces known as the Blue Man Group are returning. This time they will be in a brand new executive exclusive theater, a 580 seat theater at the Icon Park. We talked about it coming back before, and so now we're just getting a little bit more details, especially as they closed their residency at Universal Orlando during the pandemic, and then it just never came back, and then we found out they were gone for good, but now they will have a brand new custom theater. So, before they were using the old Nickelodeon studios. And so now they will actually have a space that is like dedicated to the group, and they have it expected to open the end of the year. So what do you think? Are you a Blue Man Group fan?
I am. So I saw them on my 21st birthday.
What a way to do it, yeah.
My father took me to Vegas for my birthday, and I'm not a big gambler, but I'm a show guy. And so we saw Avenue Q, and we saw Ka, and we saw Blue Man Group. That was the shows I wanted to see, and I just remember it blowing me away. And then seeing it was a lot of the same show in Orlando, but just again, anytime I've seen it here too, it's just no one does what these guys do the same way that they do them. The way that it's interesting, and it's exciting, it's entertaining, but it's also you start to you feel a little something. You learn they're telling a real story there in their abstract kind of way. I'm excited to see what they can do with their own theater, as you were just saying. Like when you go see Cirque things, like when you see rest in peace La Nuba, versus seeing Ka, when they have a theater they have built for their show, it really shows. Blue Man they do touring shows. You can do kind of their shtick anywhere, but when they have like the whole place is built to scale for them, I think that's when you're going to see some really fun stuff. And not to mention, it's in a whole new theater.
Exactly, and it's almost like
a big theater
character. Yeah.
Well, and if nothing else, I hope they have a very long residency, but even if they had to go away, that's a theater, a 500-seat theater in the heart of tourist district on International Drive there. Again, more theater, more opportunities, always a good thing.
Absolutely. And speaking of opportunities for performance, we learned that this new production will be a mix of previous Blue Man Group shows and then new stuff. And also, they have shared that some of the performers from the previous version at Nickelodeon Studios, as well as other employees, will be returning, which I love to hear. That means people
Great.
are back in their jobs, which makes me so happy. And if you are hyped, there is now a store at Icon Park open that is selling Blue Man Group merchandise, along with Cirque du Soleil. As a reminder, Cirque du Soleil purchased them, I believe, in 2017. So they are under that whole umbrella of the Cirque du Soleil Entertainment Group. So I think we're going to see something really cool out of the show. And I'm actually really excited. You know, they've been around forever, but somehow they still resonate with people. And I'm sure, like you said, being in that hot area of Icon Park right on I Drive, they are definitely going to pull in the crowds.
Yeah, especially, versus being at City Walk. You're kind of at City Walk for a reason. I feel like Icon Park has got a much bigger opportunity to just happen around. They're like, hey, there's a show going on. Well, we've got a couple hours to kill, or hey, we can see the signs really easily and pull right in. I think they'll do a lot better in this location.
Yeah, agreed. And I think they could do some cool like promotions with the restaurants and stuff that are there, like a dinner and a show package. There's just more, you're going to get the stumble in audience. Whereas at Universal, you pretty much know you're going to go to Blue Man Group if you're at Universal. You're not just going to like ride Rocket and be like, okay, let me go spend a lot of money on a ticket. I'm in like my sweaty clothes that are wet from Popeyes. It's a different vibe there.
What's this show going on here? What is this? What is this?
Well, if it was still Nickelodeon Studios, I would be going to all the shows, but sadly it is not. We will have more details as we find it out about the Blue Man Group's triumphant return. But for now, that is all we had this week for the news in the queue. But before we go, let's hear a word from our sponsors.
The Attractions Podcast is brought to you by MEI and MEI-Travel. Whether your next vacation is a magical trip to the theme parks, an exciting adventure to the pyramids of Egypt, or just a relaxing cruise on the turquoise waters of the Bahamas, MEI-Travel provides premium service and expert advice to help you get the most of your vacation. They are always free of any hidden fees or costs to you. Visit them at mei-travel.com.
It's time for the main attraction!
Yes, and we are back in Hollywood because following Orlando, Halloween Horror Nights 2024 has officially kicked off at Universal Studios Hollywood, and we have all the tea on all the haunted houses, scare zone shows, and Terror Tram with a ton of video on our site. I was supposed to go to the first 2 opening nights, but sadly I got sick. I'm very sad. It is one of my favorite events. It is just, I love Orlando, and that it was always the original to me, obviously, but there's just a certain vibe about Hollywood where it's just like so distinctly local. The vibe is completely different. It's just, I don't know, there's just this like exuberance that I feel there. And have you gone to Hollywood?
That's what I was about to ask you. I've been going to Horror Nights here in Orlando for years and years and years and years, but have never made it out to Horror Nights out in Hollywood. So I was going to say, like, they're obviously they're under kind of the same umbrella, but it's completely different creative teams, completely different operations, executive teams. It is effectively a different place. A different company almost entirely.
Right, so absolutely. It's for the people that aren't like nerds like us. You're right. It is a totally different creative team, which is so interesting because they share some of the houses with us, but they're completely different houses because it's a totally different artistic team. You have John Murdy leading the creative out there, and then also they will do their own original houses. So it's a completely different event, and it's always, what I love is like going to Hollywood first, going through the houses, and then going through the houses out there that are the same, technically the same, Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire, but it's like completely different sets. It is not a cookie cutter, cut and paste, replication out there. They kind of do whatever they want their own way. So let us go through some of the experiences out there. We will start with Terror Tram, which is probably my favorite thing of any Halloween spooky event. It is the coolest thing ever. It is the world famous studio tour, but it is a complete overlay that is exclusive to Halloween Horror Nights, and you get to get out in some parts. It is really just like the coolest thing if you are like a Universal nerd. And this year it is Terror Tram Enter the Blumhouse, because we can never get enough Blumhouse, which I am fine with. I mean, Megan is so cool.
Well, I was gonna say, if Blumhouse will ever stop putting out Halloween movies,
never,
24/7 year round.
Truly, but I mean, they put out some bangers, and just enjoying the scare zone at Universal Orlando. I love the Blumhouse scare zone. I feel like the problem with the roaming Megans last year was that you didn't know when they were coming out. People were upset when you didn't know where they are, and so to kind of solve that, the Blumhouse scare zone is that solution. And in Hollywood, it is Terror Tram, the Blumhouse, where you are like essentially guaranteed to see some of these iconic characters that are people freaking out to see.
I was gonna say, yeah, to your point there, I can remember, years ago when Horror Nights here did the, it was like Nowhere is Safe, and it was all roaming characters, scare groups. And I remember I was like, it's a cool concept, but you can entirely miss them. You just time it just right, and you accidentally walk the whole park, and like, no, I want to see them. I wanted to do that. Like, and especially, and talking about the Blumhouse again, like they are creating, I mean, maybe the only, like new iconic slasher villains that are recognizable and interesting and easy to, even if you've never seen Megan, you kind of get it. You can see this character and understand, like, oh, okay, creepy AI robot, I'm there. Like, and their visuals are just so again iconic. They're creating very interesting things, so it's nice to see them in a place like this.
100%. I mean, you're right. Like Megan and the Grabber are new, but they are already iconic in horror lore. Everyone knows who they are. Don't have to see the movies, and you can just enjoy it. And we have some awesome footage of the Terror Tram Enter the Blumhouse. It is like the reason alone to go out there is to go on Terror Tram, because there's nothing like a 45-minute like horror tram experience through iconic sets. It is just, it's so like good.
It's the world's most elaborate haunted hayride.
Yes, exactly. But like 1,000 times better than a haunted hayride. And then of course Norman Bates is there.
I was gonna say, especially for Terror Tram, or the original tram ride, you already had a couple scary moments. Now it's just the entire thing is that.
Yes. There's definitely like a sense of urgency. I love walking through the world set. It is so cool if you can get out there. Definitely recommend. And then now on to the haunted houses. We are going to start with the houses that are shared. So Universal Monsters Eternal Bloodlines, they have it out there. It is the same storyline, only out there. Slash created the exclusive score for it, as opposed to in Orlando, where we have a Grammy Award-winning female composer has created the score for it. We also have Insidious The Further. That is another one that we share. And then we have Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, which was my #1 in Orlando. I think it was also yours too, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I was laughing about, I wanted to come on and talk Horror Nights. Obviously last week it didn't work out, but I was like, but you're basically reading off it's kind of like I'm there. You're already going through my rankings.
Yes,
I know. We were a lot closer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We were a lot closer this year than we were last year. I think last year we were kind of far apart on our rankings. This year I think we were a little closer.
Your top was definitely in my vibe of what it was. I love Frozen Empire.
And I had to say too, at some point in the houses, like with the rankings, especially and rankings in general, it's not like the distance between each rank is exactly the same. You get those points where it's like these 3 or 4 houses could easily be in a different order depending on how you went exactly, because they're all about the same level of goodness. Just when you're ranking them, you have to rank them. You have to put them in some order.
Yeah, exactly. I have like ones that I'm like mid about, ones I like, and then ones I love. It's like little chunks. And again, like it depends on what scares you get, like every run is different. Some houses I'm like, I don't get this in the beginning. And then I go on it again come October and I'm like, wow, the cast has really got their groove on. And now
even in Ghostbusters, like when we did our VIP, our RIP night, for our media event, we got to the end of it and we still had some extra time left. So like, you want to go on any houses again? Like, So among them, we went back through Ghostbusters, and even having loved it the first time, loving it again the second time, But now I had the opportunity to even just look around. It's like, oh, if you look over here while that's happening, there's a really interesting new thing I'm seeing for the first time. Like, so even in like the, best case scenario of being able to look and see everything, because we're allowed to go slower, we can film, we were looking at everything the first time through. Still missed stuff. Still had a completely different experience the second time through.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say that was the most stunning visually house for me this year at Orlando. I mean, I loved it too because I love Ghostbusters, but just that Frozen dinner scene, like that has stuck with me as one of like my favorite scenes in recent years of Halloween Horror Nights. So much
And
detail.
just how I think I watched the movie again just a little bit before going out, I think like you did, and it is like having recreated those moments. I remember walking in that first Frozen dinner scene long enough to go like, oh my gosh, this looks really like, oh great, this is right. There's people here trying to scare me at the same time. Like, oh, that's the perfect level of how much distraction you need to give. And then
good. Yeah,
I would say
I've got to go through it now.
Give me stilt walkers in those houses are so great. Like,
so good. Yeah, I think I did it 3 or 4 times the first night because they let us go through again, and then I came back with Express and did it again. And late at night the crowd definitely dissipates. So if you don't have Express, don't be upset. The wait times, like if you could stay up past midnight, you usually go down to under 20 minutes. So I got to do it again that way. It just is so good. And that brings me to another one that I love, which is A Quiet Place, which they also have out in Hollywood. We have awesome footage up of walkthroughs. And now to the original one. So like I said, Hollywood has some shared IPs, and then they also do some original houses. And first up, that would be the Weekend Nightmare Trilogy. So The Weekend returns, and this is a new kind of horrifying tale. Did you enjoy the first Weekend house in Orlando?
I did, but kind of only just as a house, right? Like I'm not real deep into the Weekend lore, his, all the kind of stuff going on. So to me, it was like, oh, cool. There's bops going on. Like I love the music. This is fun, and things jumping out and scaring me. Like that's about what I kind of got to take from it. I wonder, if you're really into the Weekend, does it add a lot? Like, are you seeing like references to his songs in interesting ways, or are you just really feeling the full vibe, of what this guy does?
Yes, I'm with you. I don't really know anything about The Weeknd except for his hits. I enjoyed the house, but it was more like going through like a fun house, like we were just like dancing and having a really good time, and I appreciate it from that level. So I am excited to see the new version. And then also I am excited to see a sequel to one of my favorite houses from Universal Studios Hollywood last year. And this is Monsters 2, The Nightmares of Latin America. The park they do such a good job out there telling these Latin American folklore stories in houses. And we had La Lorna. I mean, they just do so good. They have like a whole plaza with food and drinks inspired, and it's it's like a perfect fit for Southern California, and it's vibrant cultures. So I love that house last year. Back to Orlando, did you like Monsters here?
So we had kind of the same criticism for it of it was hard to follow who these monsters were. Even we had the RIP guide, and I remember having to have him. I asked him like several times, like, who are they again? Not for nothing. Like obviously the difference of the language, of a different culture entirely, of trying to like grasp it real quick. And I remember he explained it like 2 or 3 times, and I'm still like, I remember getting in the house like, oh yeah, the owl thing. Like, it's just so. I mean,
it was a little convoluted.
I wish it was easier. I wish it was easier to follow who these characters were. I wish they would really. I almost need I needed the wall of text. Like, okay, this is the child kidnapping demon thing. Okay, great, thank you. Now I'm ready for this section. Kind of switching back because we skipped over it, but I had the same problem. I think you did too with Eternal Bloodlines.
Oh yeah, Eternal
Universal
Bloodlines,
Monsters, where it was. I see what they were doing about telling the story through her journal entries, but the problem is you walk through those rooms so fast, with an ops person going, "Come on, come on, come on." That's like, all right, I guess we're in the next place. You just couldn't. You couldn't keep the story. It was hard to keep it coherent of what was actually happening.
And I also think with the Universal Monsters, they have had some banger houses in recent years that my level of like what makes a Universal Monsters house good is pretty high because they've set it high. And this just, it kind of fell flat for me. Maybe it'll get better as the season goes on, but it was definitely not my favorite of the.
To me, there was a little bit of a steady trend with Universal Monsters houses where, don't come at me if you've got different favorites, but like, the first year it was like, here's your iconic tip top, like Dracula,
yeah,
Frankenstein, the Mummy. Then it was like, here's the B team. And then it was like, who do we have left? Like, all right, here's the Invisible Man and Jekyll and Hyde. And I was like, all right, here are the ladies. But like, here are the ladies, and also we have to make up a couple.
Yeah.
Like, here's Saskia Van Helsing, because we want to have a Van Helsing in there. Like, it felt a little like, I don't know, like a little forced in some ways in that kind of storyline.
I agree completely. I mean, I don't know, the pushing the female narrative. I mean, girl power, yes, but like, it just feels like they were doing it just to do it, to say they did it. And it just kind of fell flat. I hope it gets better. Still makes me hype for next year for Epic Universe, because we love all things monsters, but it just didn't do it for me. But what I am very excited to try out in Hollywood, I have always loved Texas Chainsaw Massacre houses, is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Legacy of Leatherface. And this is incorporating all the different Leatherface versions, like 7 versions throughout the entire franchise of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So are you a fan?
Well, see, my dark secret is I don't love horror movies. I love horror season. I love haunted houses. I love immersive environments. I'm like, I could take or leave horror movies themselves.
Yes.
But I will say things like this, I pointed at my screen as if you can see what I point at. Things like this, this type of house, I think is much better fit for horror nights. Like the way they did Insidious. I think too often you can't follow the story of the movies the same way, because the movie has to slowly build up and have, peaks and valleys and stuff. And in a haunted house, I kind of need to be at max level from the time I walk in all the way through. And so doing something like this, where it's like an amalgamation, now I'm not having to sit through any boring parts of the films I didn't like. And I get to see all the iconic versions of the same character. And all you have to do is just do the greatest hits from every movie. And that gives you one single house. Like, I think that's a perfect concept.
Yes. And it's like, for something like Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, that was kind of easy to replicate, just like awesome scene, because there's so many memorable locations, because it's a location-based film. But yes, you're right, for this, that's what works. That's why I loved Cinema Slasher too, because every room was like the greatest hit, it was like the best idea going. So.
I was laughing about it because I put that in my review of the idea that with Cinema Slasher, I remember walking through it and thinking like, oh, this would be a really cool, like, full-size house, like they did with, the Yetis and whatnot. And then seeing the next scene and be like, and this is exactly one scene worth of house. Had you tried to do a full house of the stripper mummies, that would have been terrible. But one room of it, get the joke out there, perfect. That's all I need from that hit.
That was one of my favorite rooms.
Because it was so unexpected. You see the poster and you're like, okay. And you get there like, oh no, it's literally just that. Like there was no hidden meaning to this. There's just a mummy up there.
Mummy.
doing her thing. All right. I guess
I love it.
I'll keep going.
Also out in Hollywood for one of their originals this year, different from us, it is Dead Exposure, Death Valley. This is not based on any television franchise. This is, kind of a sequel to the 2008 Dead Exposure at Universal Studios Florida. They also had Dead Exposure Patient Zero. So this is the first Dead Exposure house in California. Like I said, we have just some awesome videos on this article that Blake put together. Videos of all the scare zones, all the houses. So if you are planning to get ready to go out there, definitely hit up. This is like one of my favorite events of all the spooky season events. I love The Purge, Dangerous Waters, Late Night with Chucky, which is Chucky's new talk show. Also looks pretty amazing. But I feel like HHN Hollywood has it going on this year.
I mean, more is better.
Yes.
Love it. I want to see all the things. I'm very jealous.
Yes. I can't wait to get out there and finally go on Terror Tram. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Thank you, Andy. I had so much fun with you talking about Horror Nights. This is like a second version of Horror Nights podcast.
I'm for it. Anytime.
Oh my God, yes. We should do like a Horror Nights, or just a spooky season special podcast. Just about I
was telling Matt that. You're listening, right, Matt? Let's do it.
Yes.
One big
yes.
horror spooky season roundup. We got some more events we're
Yes.
coming up to. Didn't mention them earlier, but we got at least 2 or 3 more we'll be going to, and I know we got some more that are kind of maybe in the pipeline. So
Yes, definitely.
and
Yeah,
it's just
I'll be going.
September.
Oh yeah, I'll be hitting Scarowinds, not Scary Farm. So yeah, maybe we should do a special spooky season podcast and break down all of our favorites. But
Mhm.
before we go, we want to thank our sponsor, MEI and MEI-Travel, and want to remind you to please leave us a rating or review wherever you listen. And you can follow all of us at Attractions Magazine at attractionsmagazine.com and search for Attractions Magazine on your favorite social media accounts. So where can folks find you?
Various places. You can find me at Bendy Brains or
Yeah.
at some version of Andy Haynes.
Yes.
I'm not terribly active on social media, but I'm around. Follow Attractions mostly.
Yeah, follow Attractions for everything. And you can find me at Adventures by Carly and on X at Carly Caramana. I will be reporting from Scarowinds this week. And then I will be heading over the weekend to the Land of Oz, the abandoned Wizard of Oz theme park. So I am
That'll be speaking of spooky season.
Yes, I'm very, very excited for that. And until next week, I hope everyone stays safe, try something new, but most importantly, have fun. We will see you next time. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.